Here we go. We're going to use our knowledge about absolute, and we're going to apply what we have learned by adding and subtracting integers with the same sign and with different signs. There are a couple of rules we need to know. So if you'd like to get your notebook to help you, now would be a great time to pause the video and get your notebook so you can take notes. First of all, we're going to talk about adding integers when we have the same sign. We add the absolute value of the integers and then use the common sign. So the absolute value of 2 and 5 is 7, and these are both positive, so our answer is positive. Right here, we add the absolute value of negative 2, which is 2, and negative 5, which is 5, and we get 7. Use the common sign, negative 7. Okay, let's take a look at another rule to help us out. When we are subtracting. So we're going to subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value. So we look at our two numbers, see which number will have the larger absolute value, and then we subtract those and use the sign of the integer with the greater absolute value. So if I have 8 and negative 10, I take the absolute value of negative 10, which is 10, and I subtract 10 minus 8 is 2, and then I use the sign of my larger number to get negative 2. Here I go on this one. The absolute value of negative 13 is 13. 17 minus 13 is 4. This integer is larger, so I use the positive sign. Another way you can do this is think about a number line. If I am on 8 on my number line and I go back 10, if I go left 10, I will end up at negative 2. If I'm on negative 13 and I move to the right 17, I will end up at 4. We learn this rule though because it's easier to apply the rule than it is to draw out a number line to solve every single problem. Finally, the sum of an integer and its opposite, which we're now calling additive inverse, is 0. You already knew this. 6 plus negative 6 is 0. And imagine if I'm on the number line at 6 and I go left 6, I end up at 0. The same applies to any number, so we can substitute a variable here. All right, let's take some practice with these rules. So we're going to find negative 2 plus a negative 4. Remember, our rule is to add the absolute values and use the common sign. So my absolute value of negative 2 is 2, and my absolute value of negative 4 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6, and then I'm going to use the common sign, which is negative. Let's check on a number line here. I am 2 away, and I am 4 away, so I am a total of 6. Okay? If I start at negative 2 and I go back 4, I end up at negative 6. Here we go. I know you can do number 1. Pretty sure you could do number 2 and number 3. Give it a try just for practice. If you want to pause the video, you can do that. How'd you do? Good work. Negative 35 over here. Okay, let's look at example 2. We're going to now have integers with different signs. And remember, we subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value and use the sign of the integer with the greater absolute value. So I have a 5 and an absolute value of 10. I'm going to subtract the 5 from the 10, which leaves me 5. Then I'm going to apply the sign from the greater absolute value number, negative 5. If I were at 5 on the number line and I went back 10, I would end up at negative 5. Okay? Negative 3 and 7. Find the absolute value, 3. 7 minus 3 is 4, and then I apply the sign of the larger absolute value number. Also, if I'm on the number line at 7 and I go back 3, I end up at 4. And this one is a rule we know. its additive inverse or opposite is always 0. The additive inverse. Okay, let's take a look at example 3. We have a bank account, and we're going to find the change, C, in the account balance. So we have to list all of our transactions, and we're going to find the sum of them. So our change is -40 plus 50 plus 75 plus -50. The next thing we can do is combine the terms that have the same sign. So we're going to have a -40 and a -50, and then a 50 plus a 75. Okay? Right away, we're going to start shuffling numbers around so that, oh, I wouldn't have done that. They put the 50 and the -50 together to total 0. I probably would have added the 50 and the 75 and the -40 and the -50, which was a lot more work. Pretty cool to notice the +50 and the -50 are going to give me 0, and I'm left with the -40 and the +75. And I would do 75 minus 40 and then take the sign of the greater number, which is 35. So I would have an account balance of 35. Okay? Pay attention, I guess, to those additive inverse. We don't want to forget those. Let's do some practice. Try 4, 5, and 6, please. See how you do. I bet you have 6 figured out already. Pause the video, give them a shot, and then check your answers. Great job. Okay. Lastly, if you attempt the bonus, which is number 49 in 11.2, we have a magic square, but our magic square has negative integers. Yay! The sum of each row has to be 0. Each column, each diagonal. So right away I know that -3 and -1 equal -4. I'm going to have to put a +4 right here to make this row equal 0. Then I have a column here with a -3 and a -1, or I'm sorry, a +1. So that gives me a total of a -2. What do I need to get to 0? I need a +2 right here. Next thing I'm going to do is make a list of the numbers that I can use, and it's from -4 to 4 on number 49 in your bonus. So you will go -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. List those numbers and then cross off the 4 that we have used and cross off the 2 that we have used, and then you will have to guess and check and see which numbers fit here so that every way, including diagonal, equals 0. Good luck on that one. Have fun with your homework. I think you'll fly through it and be ready for lesson 11.3. Bye.